When you think of tragic characters in Naruto, and there's a lot of them, who comes to your mind? Is it Sarutobi, Jiraiya, Itachi? It's probably Itachi, but try to think of someone else. Pain, Tenten. It's honestly hard to find a character in Naruto that doesn't have a tragic backstory, and the only real question is the level of said tragedy. But I'm guessing that when you're going through your catalog of tragic Naruto characters in your head, you don't think of the one that usually comes to my mind. And for good reason. In and of himself, he didn't really have it as bad as some of the characters I've already named. But oh boy, do I think his very existence is a tragedy. I'm talking about Neji Hyuga, the genius of the Hyuga clan. Now you might be thinking to yourself, really? Neji? Out of all of the characters? Not the guy that died fighting his former student, whom he had let live instead of killing on the spot, and therefore indirectly contributed to the deaths of at least hundreds of innocent people, including the deaths of those that perished when he invaded the Hidden Leaf? Not the guy that killed his entire clan and mentally tormented his younger brother, only to later die by his very hands, consequently setting him on a spiral of unwise decisions, and a pretty bad character arc if you ask me. But no, Neji. Neji's who you're going with? And to that valid criticism I say, yeah, I am. I think it's safe to say that Neji, in and of himself, does not really scream tragedy at first glance. He died protecting Naruto, and his legacy lives on in the form of Boruto's name being an homage to him. But there are 2 points on which I'd like to touch on. The first of which relates to his death in the context of the story itself, while the second one is more related to how Masashi Kishimoto handled it. Both of which really make me think Neji got the short end of the Juby spike. So, the first and most important point in my opinion. Neji's whole character and worldview is built on a lie. It was almost 2 decades ago at this point, but do you by any chance remember what his whole character arc was about? The most important aspect of it was him letting go of his incredibly pessimistic and fatalistic worldview, as Neji believed that a person's fate is determined from the moment they are born, and that nothing can be done to change that fact. Losers are born losers, and winners are born winners. This was due to him being born in the lower house of the Hyuga clan, which meant everlasting servitude to the upper house. Considering the boy was a once-in-a-generation genius, you can imagine just how stifling that must have felt. Having the privilege of being someone's guard dog as a part of your birthright, well, you can imagine how that can shape one's mindset a certain way, indeed. Long story short, he gets beaten by Naruto, and as is the case with any other battle shonen, changes his entire worldview in the process. Except in this specific case, it actually makes sense. By doing so, Naruto proves to Neji that one's effort and hard work can indeed make a difference, thus contradicting Neji's belief that Naruto was destined to lose their match, due to him being inferior. How he came to the point where he deemed himself the arbiter of someone's worth is a whole other subject. But let's leave his inferiority-fueled superiority complex as a topic for a future discussion. So, what's wrong with all of this, you might ask? Seems like a solid lesson to teach someone. You are in charge of your own destiny. You pick your own path. Your choices are your own and have meaning. But do they? Or if they do, to what extent? Naruto was not aware of it at the time, but he's actually pretty much the biggest hypocrite in the entire damn series. Why? Well, he was destined from the very start to be Ninja Jesus. Kinda. Him and Sasuke are reincarnations of Indra and Asura, 2 entities that can very easily be compared to deities, and who are with each novel reincarnation also destined to do battle and change the course of the world. Due to this being the case, that means that a good portion of Naruto and Sasuke's destinies are predetermined. This also has the side effect of limiting the scope of free will for the both of them, therefore making us question how much of the decisions they made are actually their own. On an even broader scale, it also brings into question the free will and the concept of destiny in relation to all other characters. Were they influenced in any way to lead Naruto and or Sasuke on their path of conflict? Does every person actually have their own destiny, except theirs is not on such a grand a scale as that of Naruto or Sasuke? It raises a lot of potentially uncomfortable questions. Uncomfortable not only because A, that would mean that Neji was actually right, or at least half right, in his fatalistic worldview, and that his entire life afterwards was built on a lie. And B, because that would undermine the whole initial motif of Naruto, that of hard work and forging your own path forwards, since now Naruto's desire to work hard and become strong could also be seen as a part of his predetermined path. Do you know what's especially ironic? Neji's very decision to sacrifice himself would then very possibly have been a part of either his or Naruto's destiny. Or if we go even farther, the very fact that Naruto changed Neji's mind on this issue could have been the very event that led him to make the choices he did and end up being in a situation where he gave his life for Naruto's in the first place. The very moment he realized that he was free and that destiny had no hold over him could possibly have been the very moment his destiny was set in stone. Well, that got dark and lasted longer than I expected. As I said, this was originally going to be a video covering two very different points, which I think add to the tragedy of Neji Hyuga. Sounds so damn dramatic, but I'm actually going to go ahead and make this a two-parter. Not only because college is starting back up, and if I wanna keep up the schedule of putting out a video a week, 7 to 8 minute videos are gonna be all that I'm gonna be able to manage as of right now. But also because I thought that the tone and nature of the 2 points were different enough to justify them being split up. This point came more from an internal story perspective, while the next one will be more from an external one, looking into things like pacing, author motivation, impact, and so on, and should be done by next Sunday. So expect it then. In any case, hope you enjoyed, feedback is always appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one.